All right, Sam. Everyone is waiting with bated breath for your thoughts on the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Honestly, BB Nate, you and I are anticipating Sam's reaction after watching it last Wednesday was kind of excruciating.
It was. I was waiting the whole day because I knew what was coming, and I'm like, is he gonna complain about this again for another week?
Yeah. All right, Sam, I know you've got lots of thoughts and that you're going to share them all on your segment, but just give us a little teaser for it right now.
Well, I'll say this. Dad and Nate had a bit of an intervention with me.
We did.
After the episode came out, and I've seen the error of my ways. I've turned over a new leaf. I'm a new person now.
Wow.
So
That's great. We had a little intervention.
I guess, yeah. I'm not sure about the listeners, but I'm letting out a sigh of relief after that. We'll talk about every Star Wars character except Boba Fett, Superman and Lois, and the Batman next. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
Just can't catch a break, can you?
Oh, yeah. No, I cannot.
All right,
Poor kid.
he's standing here with his arm in a sling, a road rash on his arm. He got thrown down on the ground by a football player. We talked about this last week, but you're not any better yet, are
I'm
you?
not, no.
Going to the orthopedic tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully they won't make you like do a handstand on one arm
Let's
in order
hope not.
to identify.
like Luke and Empire Strikes Back. with
Yeah,
Yoda.
Grogu was doing it with one leg.
Yeah, that was awesome.
in
Basically the same thing.
In this last episode. Well, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by Ryan Johnson.
Heck yeah.
It always feels cool to say that. All right. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of this generation and that there is a story. It is written on our souls and that these myths speak to this story. And that is why we are talking about the Mando and Luke and Ahsoka and Grogu and Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane and Superman and Lois Lane and Batman and Alfred. And I'm out of breath.
It's a lot of characters.
It's a lot. And notice who we didn't really talk about. Anyway, I'm Dad.
Are you trying
I'm David.
to
I'm
ruin all
Dad.
the work that you did?
I got it all messed up, so I was all thrown off. I'm Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, guys. I'm honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons. Sam, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good.
All right, good. So tell me what you're talking about then. I mean, obviously, it's the Book of Boba Fett, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so-
I mean, I don't think anybody really saw that cameo coming. And yet, Star Wars fans, they still found a way to complain
course.
about it because it just wouldn't be Star Wars without it. But
That's true. BB Nate,
Yes.
you got something that you didn't expect to
Yeah,
happen.
surprised the Batman prequel novel dropped last week, and I went and bought it as soon as I heard it.
Oh, yeah. Literally same day.
Like a couple hours after I heard about it, I went to Barnes & Noble, picked it up, and started reading it that
Yeah,
night.
and you finished it pretty quick, like
I
in a
finished
day
it
or
the next
two,
night.
right? Yeah. Pretty good. You excited?
It was a very good book.
What are you
Yes.
talking
What are you
about,
talking about, Dad?
In classic Bizzaro form, we are flipping everything around in this week's discussion of Superman and Lois.
Interesting.
So we'll do that. But before we do all that, I want to thank our sponsor, cufflinks.com. They have over 3,000 items on their amazing and beautifully designed website. Easy to navigate. It's a great website.
Well laid out.
It is. It's very well laid
User-friendly.
out. You can find things identified by IPs like Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, NFL, NCAA, and Major League Baseball.
Wow, that segue.
NBA. It was awesome. Everything, and there's everything you can look for, you can think of on there, and
true.
stuff that absolutely has nothing to do with any of that. Just like really awesome men's accessories.
Yeah,
So
like just if you don't want nerdy dress wear,
if you just want to look good, good.
Yeah.
You can go to cufflinks.com. We're really honored to be sponsored by this amazing company. For all of you that are new to the show, thank you for joining us. We hope that you will follow the show on the podcast app that you have found us on. Make sure that you get updates every time we have a new episode coming out. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. We do not take you for granted. We are super grateful that you subject yourself to this every single week.
About what it is.
With it, and we are honored to be a part of your fandom. And Friday, we've got a first for Tatooine Sons. We've never done this before. It's a special Book of Boba Fett reaction panel with special guests. We're going to have Lucas Pinkard, of the Reverend and the Reprobate show, Pete Fletcher from Around the Galaxy, and Josh Sala from Marvel Let's Play.
Very, very cool.
They're all going to come on there. It was funny when I reached out to Josh. I mean, obviously, Pete talks Star Wars in every one of his podcast episodes, and Lucas is a little bit more middle of the road with this, but he talks a lot of Star Wars on the Reverend and the Reprobate show, and he's big time Star Wars fan. And I thought, who else would I want to have on here? And I thought, I would really love to hear Josh's thoughts. So I messaged him and I'm like, Josh, we'd love to, are you caught up on Book of Boba Fett? And he was like geeking out a little bit about the show. And I said, would you be willing to come on the show and talk about this with us? And he's like, that's cool, but I'm not nearly as deep into this stuff as you are. I'm not going to know any of the Easter eggs or any of that stuff. Are you cool with that? I'm like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for actually a reasoned general population response to this.
Yeah,
and Josh is just such a pro that I knew that he could come on and talk all this, even though he's not a Star Wars podcaster. Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. So we're going to record that Thursday, and it'll come out Friday morning, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that.
Fun.
But enough about talking about what we're talking about. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about.
Very good. Well, it was another episode noticeably lacking Boba Fett, but but it's still an amazing episode this week. All right, we'll talk about Luke and his not so Jedi-like ultimatum, the biggest cameo of the series so far, and our predictions for the finale sure to go wrong.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets. You're coming to is as the footsteps of steps.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
We're talking about the finale, and I'm super excited about, having that opportunity. But then you do realize that this being the finale, what that means. That means we don't have any more Star Wars content coming out on Disney Plus next week.
Oh, crap.
Have you thought about that?
No.
It's like it's gone.
That's so sad.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hitting me right now.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna have to come up with some new stuff to talk about. I don't know.
Hey, I already have some, so it's y'all's problem.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Batman's coming up here too.
We're gonna get a trailer supposedly for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about, but I'm looking for Star Wars content.
Yeah,
but anyway,
so. All right, I want to get y'all's rating of this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. Cruel forced decisions put on Grogu.
He's a little kid, this little toddler.
This episode was fantastic. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay.
And just because I loved it so much, there were so many points when I'm like, I don't want it to end. Like when Mando finally left and they were done with all the training and stuff with Grogu, I looked over to you and I'm like, I didn't want that plot line to end. I wanted it to go for longer. And then we finally went back and then, we got the cruel decision. But still, it was really such a fantastic episode.
Have you watched this more than that first time?
No, I haven't had the chance. You've watched this? When did you have time?
I had it on here on Friday while I was working on some stuff. I had both the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, we didn't have time for that.
I did, and I'm telling you, this thing. I'm giving it a 9.5, and the only reason I'm giving it a 9.5 is to hold out that tiniest shred of hope that something, and we'll talk about later, could potentially happen in this finale. And I've gone on record and said that if this happens, it could be horribly done and it could be a disaster, or it can be the best thing that's ever happened for a Star Wars fan like me. And I am
I know what it is.
so excited about that. So I'm leaving that window open for it.
Okay.
This episode was fantastic. There were so many things that we got to see. We got to see a conversation between Ahsoka and Luke. We got to see Order 66 through the eyes of Baby Yoda.
I'm just gonna
we're not talking about it in detail. I'm just saying all the stuff, right? Cobb Vanth looking cool.
Love Cobb Vanth.
You guys, I'm not joking about the cosplaying at Pensacon as Cobb Vanth.
You should do
if
it.
I could find how to get the stuff.
Oh, trust me, just give me a little bit of time.
You got to go to a Goodwill
There's a
or
Fabrics by the Pound store.
something, because I'm telling you, I can pull off that Cobb Vanth and look really good at it. All of it was really fun. It was a great episode.
I can't imagine Dad cosplaying
Can you do the voice though? Can you talk like Cobb Vanth?
I've got a week and a half to practice. So.
I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9. It was fantastic. Dad, I think he summed it up perfectly. It had everything a fan could want and more. Way exceeded anybody's expectations, so it was great. But let's go ahead and get into it and talk about the episode a little bit in detail. We got to see Luke's training of Grogu, which frankly I didn't think we'd ever get to really see, and especially in not this much detail, right?
And not this soon.
No. So he's training Grogu, but he says it feels more like Grogu's remembering because, as we know, Grogu was a Padawan in the Jedi Temple. And then we actually got to see Order 66 through Grogu's eyes, which was heartbreaking. It was horrible. And we still don't know who saved Grogu, which is interesting.
But did you guys... I mean, it's been widely accepted by reputable Star Wars podcasters, YouTubers, bloggers, personalities, those types of things, that Barriss Offee's symbol or her logo or whatever her thing is on the walls of that room that Baby Yoda is watching the clone troopers coming at him, and the Jedi are there. And so there's this huge rumor right now that Barriss Offee is the one.
I thought she was dead.
No, she's not. She was imprisoned. We never saw anything more from her. You're thinking of Luminara.
Barriss Offee was the one who turned against the Order.
Yes, she was imprisoned in the Clone Wars. We don't know what's happening. The theory is that during the destruction of the Jedi Temple, she got free. Guys, go back and watch those episodes of the Clone Wars. She's right.
Yeah.
About the Jedi.
Completely.
And so she's not necessarily what she did was wrong, but
she's honestly like Ahsoka after she left the Order.
It's very similar to that, and she may have been the one to rescue Grogu.
Very interesting.
And what if we get Barriss Offee?
That is, we are. There's a lot of people speculating that one of the actresses that was brought on for that is her, and they're setting that up with this.
We can talk about that later, but I hadn't heard that. That's very interesting. Yeah. But again, that training was really interesting to see, but it was. The whole reason why we saw this is because we saw Mando traveling to this planet to give Grogu the gift, right? Or the armor that was made for him.
The Mithril.
In the last episode. Yeah. The Star Wars equivalent of Mithril. But he gets there and he's talking with, Ahsoka shows up, which... Again, nobody was expecting that.
I got spoiled on it.
Did you really? That's what you got spoiled on?
Which was fine because I was just happy to hear Ahsoka was back.
Okay.
But we see her there, which begs the question: why was she there? I thought she was.
R2 warned her.
R2 warned her.
Yeah, that's why he shut down.
Oh,
so yeah, I think that they didn't really give a lot of context to help understand what was happening. But when R2 goes to, it looks like he's taking him to Luke and Grogu, right? And then you almost see this rock floating up, and it's like the rock is being floated, and you expect to see Baby Yoda lifting a rock or something like that. And it's these spider droids, or ant droids or whatever. They're building the Jedi Academy,
right?
There, and then R2 just like totally like just stalls, right? He shuts himself down, some of these droids make a bench. And I think that we don't really pick up on the idea, but he's there for so long that he just gives up and falls asleep.
Yeah.
Right. And this could be hours that he's waiting. And that's when I think Ahsoka comes.
Okay. I was confused as to why she was there. But
I don't think she's hanging out with Luke.
No, she isn't.
Okay. But still, that was awesome. And then, like you said, we got to see Ahsoka and Luke have a conversation for a bit, which
when she said, "You're so much like your father."
Well, yeah, and she's like, "I'm a friend of the family."
Yeah,
that was hard to listen to. Because you start thinking, you go back to the Clone Wars, and you start thinking about, a friend of the family. What does that mean? Well, obviously we know about Anakin, but also Padme, and really kind of Kenobi. You start thinking about, about all those memes that people said if Anakin hadn't turned. You've got these pictures of Anakin and Padme with Luke and Leia and Uncle Obi-Wan Kenobi in the background.
Uncle Ben.
Yeah, Uncle Ben and that guy. Oh, that's sad. He could die as a result of that. But anyway, wait, this isn't Spider-Man. Okay, but anyway, you see all that, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's hard. And are you guys disappointed that we didn't get to see that conversation between Ahsoka and Luke, the conversation where they talk about Anakin for the first time?
I mean, of course, I'll always be disappointed about it, but honestly, what the little we got was enough. I loved what we had.
I didn't think they could bog down the episode with keeping up with the Skywalkers, like Nathan says. Yeah. Now, while it would have been great and I would have loved it, that wasn't the focus of this episode. What we got was enough. I think it was good.
Definitely.
And still, I mean, who would have thought that we've been able to see a live action Ahsoka speaking with a live action Luke later on in life? I mean, what a crazy time to be a Star Wars fan.
And then live action Cad Bane shows up.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Right.
But the point is, how can we be complaining about Star Wars in this environment?
I don't know.
This episode was that good.
It was phenomenal.
That a super Boba Fett fan is kind of like, yeah, I give up. You know what? This was still awesome.
I'm holding hope for the finale. That's what I'll say. But that was great. But overall, though, what did you guys think of seeing Grogu's training by Luke?
I thought it was really cool. I enjoyed it. I love the callbacks to Empire with his training.
Yeah, he's
the whole
running
backpack and the flips and climbing the trees and everything. That was really cool. I loved that. But it was really interesting to see how Luke wasn't at all frightened that Grogu just destroyed the training remote. I thought he was going to be absolutely terrified because he was terrified about one of Ben's dreams. Like, why wasn't he freaked out about the training remote? And so I just was really confused by that.
Because he's gotten shot by that training remote. And he's kind of like, I've wanted to do the same thing with it. The Dagobah nods, to Empire Strikes Back were awesome, and it did feel like, almost to the same backpack and everything. It felt like
it might have been the
with
same
that
backpack.
And it was, I was sitting there with my hand, cheering, and then my hands over my mouth and all of that. But did you guys not pick up some Last Jedi vibes when he climbs up into the tree and they're overlooking, and he starts talking about the Force, and he starts talking about balance? Yeah. So we're seeing, at least from my perspective, it looks like they're trying to bridge the story between Return of the Jedi Luke and Last Jedi Luke. And honestly, what happens, at the end of the episode with them is really very telling as to which version of Luke we have right now. So
and we're going to just go ahead and jump to the end of the episode and talk about this ultimatum, really, that
the mithril,
right? Yeah, that Luke presents Grogu with. I mean, he's like, you either can pick the armor and go back to Mando, or you can have Yoda's freaking lightsaber and stay with me and train and become a Jedi. And obviously we don't see his decision yet. The episode cuts off. But, first off, what do you guys think that Grogu is going to choose?
For the continuity and everything, I feel like it'll be Mando.
Really?
And for my hopes, I hope it'll be Mando. Because, first of all, I just love Grogu and Mando's relationship. I want to see a little tiny Baby Yoda Mandalorian.
That's something we didn't talk about. I mean, their relationship, they both miss each other.
They really do. And honestly, somebody said this idea, and what if The Mandalorian isn't about the Mandalorian we've been seeing this whole time, and it's telling the story leading up to Baby Yoda being the Mandalorian.
Oh, wow.
The leader of Mandalore. And I feel like he's going to be the next, at least the second of well-recorded Jedi Mandalorian hybrid thing. The Darksaber is already kind of stripped of its royalty by the fact that it was just transferred without duel. And I'm wondering if Baby Yoda is going to make the next one and be the next ruler of Mandalore.
Interesting.
I think that based on, kind of a deep dive in here, I think that there's, if you're just looking at the films, there's a little bit of ambiguity as to whether or not Grogu could be trained as Luke's Padawan. But the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book series, which is canon, clearly states Luke makes the statement that Ben was his first Padawan. Exactly. So we already know, based on canon, which decision he's going to have to make.
Think of that.
Grogu can't take the lightsaber. He can't train as the Padawan.
We also had the Ahsoka book. And the Clone Wars season 7 kind of threw some of that canon and out of the door. So
I don't think.
But I think that there was just small changes with that. And this would be a huge change if they decided to do that. It would throw the whole comic series out. So
I think that the story, that this entire arc of Grogu, Mando, and Luke in the book of Boba Fett makes no sense. It has no purpose if. You okay over there, bro?
Yeah.
Okay. If Grogu is going to go with Luke, this plot line has to take place in order to get Grogu back with Mando again, and for us to have reconciled all of that, so that sequence takes place in the next episode, and then when Mandalorian season 3 picks up, you've got Grogu in it again. I honestly, I don't know if this is the way it happened, and I hope it's not the way that it happened, but it feels to me like they wrote season 2 of The Mandalorian, and they're like, oh my gosh, and what if Luke showed up at the end and he took him to train him, and then they did that, and they're like, oh crap, what are we doing now with the Mandalorian? And so they got let's get him back with Mando so we can have season. I
don't think
3.
that is even close to what could happen, especially with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
It feels like it though.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right.
I think that's fair. I hadn't thought of the comic, but so then we see Mando. He goes back to Tatooine without seeing Grogu, which was really sad.
He sees him, but he doesn't see it.
Right, he doesn't get to interact with him. And at this point, it's at this point that Boba gets just about the most authentic Boba treatment he's gotten this entire series. We see him for about 45 seconds, and he has no lines. He just stands there being cool.
No dialogue at all.
And frankly,
he nodded.
I'm all right with that. At least they're going back to his roots. That's what Boba was. So
hey, he had his helmet. Oh, he didn't have his helmet on.
No, that was a little disappointing.
So he wasn't looking as cool as he normally does.
Not nearly as cool, but I'll take what I can get at this point. So then, Mando goes to Cobb Vanth to recruit him for muscle, right? Because they say they need.
Can we address the fact that Mandalorian changes his whole vibe when he's talking with Cobb Vanth? He's like, how are y'all folk? I'm just switches to Southern. That's fine.
He's culturally sensitive. Sensitive Mando. This is why he's the true ruler of Mandalore. But I did notice that. Anyway, he goes and recruits him and Freetown into this to help Boba Fett with a war against the Pikes. But then, as Mando's leaving, the biggest cameo of the series happens, when they had him out in the distance and I saw this figure, I swear the whole time I'm sitting there staring at it. I'm like, who could this be? I'm like, is it an Inquisitor? I'm like, I had no clue who it was. Well, who of you were spoiled on this?
I was spoiled.
You were spoiled?
I was spoiled too.
Okay, so you guys were spoiled on this, but I wasn't actually.
And Dad and I just kept looking at each other when he was walking up. We were just like, it's coming.
I knew you hadn't noticed yet.
Yeah.
It's like, I just kept looking at Nate like, when is he going to notice that this is Cad Bane?
Right. But so what was it like for you guys though to watch that scene, even though you kind of knew it was
fantastic. I kind of forgot about it, honestly. When I was watching the whole episode, I kind of forgot that Cad Bane was going to be in this one. I kept watching. I'm like, dang, this episode is so good. How can they get better? And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's Cad Bane.
Okay, now I'm going to do this real quick, and I'm going to call out some of our friends.
Oh, Is it for what I think?
So I'm going to call out Culture Slate, and I'm going to call out comicbook.com. I love you guys. All right.
They're friends.
Well,
Yes.
Brandon, we shook hands at the Marvel
That's true.
at the premiere of No Way Home, and Culture Slate. I mean, that's Ben Hart, and that's Tyler Bucks, and it's actually Tyler Bucks' video. I'm calling out right here. I love you, Tyler.
Yes.
But guys, the day of, you're putting out a bunch of video, like all over my Facebook feed. It wasn't pure spoilers. It's not like, oh my God, Cad Bane is in the chapter 6 of Book of Boba Fett. None of that from you guys. But all over my feed, all these reputable news sources start doing everything you need to know about Cad Bane. Why Cad Bane matters. 10 things to remember about Cad Bane from the Clone Wars. Why is Cad Bane, why is Cad Bane important? All this other crap. I'm like, oh, Cad Bane is in this episode. That's how I got spoiled on it. Now, to answer your question, sorry, that was my little rant.
I got spoiled just by scrolling on YouTube, and somebody posted the whole clip, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow. I was...
You good there?
Uncomfortable watching him walk up because I was worried about what we were going to get. This is a character that has lived exclusively in animation.
Yes.
He's not he's not something that species we haven't really seen in live action. We've seen it in animation, we've seen it in video games
before.
In live action.
Yeah, in the cantina in episode 4 we saw Duros.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
They look a little bit different than Cobb Vanth, but we have seen his features before. Or Cobb Vanth.
Well,
Cad
he's
Bane.
such an iconic character. Cad Bane.
That was right.
Cobb Vanth is the other guy.
Cad Vanth.
Yeah.
Cad Bane.
Cad Vanth. Yeah, I'm lost. Anyway, I was worried that he wasn't going to look right. All right, and I know people are like harping on his coloring and
The lack of
the size of his hat.
Oh my God!
For me, it was like, all right, that's Cad Bane. That looks like him. Even some people were like, they even texted me the next day and they're like, what do you think about his voice? I'm like, he sounds a little bit off. It didn't sound the same. It's the same actor that did it, but we're dealing with 20 years later. We're dealing with a different medium. I mean, Rosario Dawson doesn't look exactly like animated.
No,
Ahsoka.
I see people complain about that. I'm like, guys, it's like chill. I keep seeing these side by side memes of like, okay, if you didn't like the look of Cobb Vanth Cad Bane in this episode, well then let's just adjust the original actors for like Count Dooku and stuff to match their Clone Wars counterparts,
like Tartakovsky's Clone Wars with Anakin and
they look so funky. I'm like, guys, chill. It's an adaptation from live action to animation. It's never going to be
exactly
a percent. You're right. It was clearly Cad Bane from the moment you see him. That's all you need. Although, did he have the toothpick?
He did not have it.
That's what was missing. He needs the toothpick.
I did want the toothpick.
If he doesn't have the toothpick
in this episode, but next one, just wait.
He better have the toothpick.
I hope so.
All right. One last thing about Cad Bane.
There we go.
Is why is he working for the Pikes?
He's a gun for hire.
Like Boba.
If the money's paying good, he'll be there. Not like Boba anymore, but he's never left that life. I honestly do think that at some point, if Boba doesn't kill Cad Bane in this next episode, we might see Cad Bane starting to work with Boba, like the same thing that happened with Fennec, and the same thing.
No way.
We have no clue. Black Chrysanthemum.
Are you sure you're not on like narcotic pain medication right now for your shoulder? Because that is the most ridiculous thing you've ever said on this show. In 4+ years, BB Nate said some crazy things.
I have.
But Cad Bane working alongside Boba Fett is the craziest thing you've ever said on this show.
Can we just give me a minute, though?
Okay, I'm just setting this up because this is absurd.
I understand.
All right, now go for it. Defend it.
There are a lot of crazy things in this series. Did you ever go into the series thinking that Boba Fett would be A, rescued by the Tusken Raiders, and B, become one of them, basically? First of all, did you expect that? Did you ever think in the 1,000 years the Tusken Raiders could be good people?
Sure.
After The Mandalorian season 1, yeah.
After Mandalorian season 1.
They could be redeemed. Yeah. They could be
redeemed. Okay, but did you ever expect Boba Fett to be working with them or be a part of them?
No, but it's
in
not
a million
outside
years.
The realm of
if
possibility.
I said
there's not bad blood between them,
I understand. But if I said before Book of Boba Fett came out that Boba Fett was going to be working with the Tusken Raiders, become one of them, and basically be introduced into their culture as a Tusken Raider, y'all would have called me crazy.
Not nearly as crazy as this.
But okay. But we had Black Chrysanthemum tried to kill Boba Fett. He was a gun for hire, right? That's what happened.
There's no...
And I know that there are grudges and everything.
He's trying really hard.
But I think that in some ways, depending on how it works out, I know there are grudges between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. But Boba is constantly talking about this whole series working with respect and making and helping these bounty hunters not work for people that don't respect them. He's mentioned that like 4 different times. So I think that it is a possibility.
Okay, here's the problem. The primary villains, at least as we've seen in this series so far, are the Pikes, and Cad Bane is working directly with the Pikes. He's not going to side with Boba Fett.
Nope.
And for those of you that may not be aware of this, most of you, I'm sure, listening to this are, but there are a lot of you that listen to this show that are not as steeped in Star Wars canon as we are. And just so you know, there was a scene that was originally crafted for season 7 of the Clone Wars that didn't get fully produced.
I'm just saying, why wasn't it?
That is a showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett, where Cad Bane shoots Boba Fett in the helmet, and that's where the ding comes from in the helmet, and that's still there. The ding is there. So it's been widely accepted that that actually did happen. That's the story that happened. There's no way Cad Bane works alongside this. And,
well, that's a good segue into the prediction sure to go wrong.
Well, no, but the other thing I want to say about Cad Bane real quick is Lucas Pinker asked me about this, and I looked at it, and I sent you guys a picture, and you guys didn't even react to this. And I was so disappointed.
I'm not sure if I got it.
I don't remember seeing
it. So Cad Bane, underneath his coat, looks like he's got an Imperial uniform on, and it looks like there's Imperial insignia, like ranks.
I was literally walking into the doctor's office when you said
that. And it just feels very Imperial. And so there's a lot of people wondering, does that mean that maybe he's got some connections with Thrawn now, or that he's worked for the Empire now? Moff Gideon, all of this kind of stuff. I think that there's that bad guy, bad stuff.
He did work for Thrawn. Could we potentially see him in Ahsoka and then have a match between Ahsoka and Cad Bane?
That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let's get into infamous Tatooine Sons fashion with our predictions. Sure to go wrong with the finale. Nate,
I guess I've already said mine.
Take it away.
I guess. I really don't know. The thing is, with this series finale, I would have never expected them to have 2 episodes mainly focused on Mandalorian. So I'm really not sure what to expect with this finale. I'm expecting to be surprised. Exactly. I'm expecting to be pleasantly surprised, because there have been so many times which I'm like, I don't know what this could do. I don't know. Like with Mandalorian, I was going into it, I'm like, I don't know if this series can be good. It's about a new character. And then they just hit us with Baby Yoda. I'm like, okay, all right, they showed up. So I'm not sure.
So you're not going to give like a specific, is your prediction the Cad Bane thing?
I guess, yeah. That'll be my prediction.
It is sure to go wrong then.
Yeah, well, you nailed it.
All right.
But I said they've made weird decisions before, so okay. I might be right.
I want to give a shout out to Adam Frazier and his Twitter thread that came out Friday that helped me grasp and kind of put into...
That's just sure to go wrong, by the way.
To my mind, all the things that I was thinking about this series and what's going on. And he started pointing out that every one of the characters that keeps getting brought in has some type of a connection to Boba Fett. Fennec Shand, connection to Boba Fett. Jabba the Hutt, the
cousins.
The cousins, there's this connection there through Jabba with it. You
7
have,
degrees of Boba Fett.
You have Cobb Vanth, who
stole his armor.
Has his armor, and then he gets his armor back through the Mandalorian, but the armor is connected to Cobb Vanth. Ahsoka and Boba Fett have history.
Yes,
in the Clone Wars series. Obviously Cad Bane and Boba Fett have a lot of history in the series. Fennec Shand has, I think I already mentioned it, Fennec Shand. Luke Skywalker has history. Din Djarin has history with
Grogu.
With Boba Fett. Even Grogu is rescued because of Boba Fett. All of these characters are chapters in the life of Boba Fett.
Huh, that's clever.
So you're saying Boba dies in this next episode?
No, I'm saying that
I swear.
I don't think so. I think that you're right, BB Nate, that he's going to become the Nick Fury of the Mandoverse.
Oh, I'm sure
I don't know
of
if we
that.
talked about that on last week's episode.
I brought that up this week after this week's episode.
I think we're going to end up probably talking about that after the finale. We'll do that. But I think there's only one character living right now that has had a greater connection in Star Wars to Boba Fett than any of the ones
Lando
that we have.
Calrissian.
No, it's Han. And I'm telling you, he's alive. I'm scared to death of that idea.
Don't do a deep fake. Do not do a deep fake.
I'm really, really thinking that, this is the season 2 finale of Mandalorian where they're one-upping. They've got to do something big. And the only way to go bigger than what you saw in this last episode, that is the only way to one up what just happened.
They have been saying expected, unexpected.
Is Han Solo and Chewbacca landing on Tatooine? Here's what's going to happen. This is my prediction. And I am literally, I know this is predictions sure to go wrong. And I know the segment is going long, but who cares, right?
My segment's going to go long.
Yeah. Anyway, here's what's going to happen. I believe this is really what's going to happen. We're going to see the opening of this episode tomorrow.
Okay.
With Grogu making the choice.
Okay.
And he's going to choose Mando.
And then you'll have Tyto.
So
then what does Luke have to call him like a space
No.
suit?
Luke has to take Grogu to Tatooine.
Oh, okay. Well, that's crazy.
This is it. Listen, just let me go. Hold on. Luke is going to go back to Tatooine. We are going to see Luke Skywalker on Tatooine again.
Okay, well, hold up.
Hold on.
Before I let you get into this too far.
Okay.
I love where you're going.
I know.
But R2 is able to contact Ahsoka. Why couldn't he contact Mando?
Because Grogu
Ahsoka is already going and looking for Thrawn right now.
No, he's going. Here's what he's going to take.
Okay.
You're going to see Luke, and you're going to see R2 take Grogu to Tatooine.
Okay.
That gets
On the
them
X-Wing.
on Tatooine.
On the X-Wing.
Right. Cobb Vanth is going to be rescued by
of course.
by Din Djarin. He's going to be restored. I think he's getting cyber mods, like
Faster
from the
gunslinger.
Yep, that type of thing.
He's got like super fast.
It's going to be awesome. With that, at some point towards the end of this episode, right before the big battle,
we're going to see the Falcon.
the Millennium
flying.
Falcon is going to land, and you're going to see Chewbacca and Han freaking Solo.
Alden Ehrenreich.
I know. I think it's
No, you do
I
not do
do.
deepfake.
I guys, we're 5 years after Return of the Jedi. They were perfecting this technology not just for Luke. It's going to happen. Stop. Let me. This is my time.
I don't like it.
I don't care.
dumb.
I'm the Han Solo fan. I get to have my own
the whole
fantasy.
plan. You were doing great, and
He's going to look great. It's going to be a young-looking Harrison Ford, and they're going to get off. And you're going to see a battle against Cad Bane and the Pikes. And I do wonder if Crimson Dawn's going to be brought in with Kira.
I still think that can happen.
It could happen.
It very well could.
And they bring that in there. The bad guys are going to be Kira, Cad Bane, and Crimson Dawn with
And
the
the
Pikes
Pikes.
against Boba Fett. And alongside him, you're going to see a conversation between Boba Fett, Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker, basically dealing with the mess of all that. They're going to come together and they're going to battle against the Pikes, and Kira and Han is going to have to confront Kira. It is going to be epic.
What if you saw the Slave One and the Millennium Falcon flying side by side?
This show will never happen. Our show will never be able to happen as a result if that takes place, because I won't be able to speak ever again.
Well, this plan somehow amazing. There's no way in heck
Somehow,
that's
going to happen.
My prediction
Seems
is more
tame.
likely than that.
Yeah.
But honestly, what you said is great, but you lost me. I cannot think of another Han Solo, at least a young Han Solo.
He's not
without
young.
thinking of Alden Ehrenreich.
So they put on he's got grayer hair.
Just cut his hair. Just cut his hair a little bit.
No.
And it could still work. I
It won't
cannot
work.
I cannot imagine a younger Han Solo without it being Alden.
What about you, Sam?
Oh yeah, I mean y'all pretty much done
All right.
everything I
Yeah,
had
we did.
planned. Honestly, like your prediction is pretty similar to what I had. All I want is for Boba to be awesome and to get more than 45 seconds of screen time. If they don't treat his character right in this episode and give him what he deserves, then in my opinion, the whole point the series was kind of pointless, or at least it shouldn't have been titled Book of Boba Fett.
I mean, all they're going to do is they're going to introduce him for 1 minute and then kill him off. So,
Oh, that's terrible.
if they do that,
That's not what's going to happen. He's
No.
going to get his just desserts
He
in
is.
this one.
Okay.
This is going to be good. But I think that maybe it's time for a dad moment.
I am your father.
Is this dad moment about lowering your expectations?
No,
Because Dad's expectations need to be
Yours
lowered.
is too.
all right. I don't know about anyone else, but this version of Luke Skywalker, the one we see in The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, even Star Wars Battlefront 2 game.
Oh, yeah.
All of that. I'm just going to say it. He seems a little bit arrogant to me.
Definitely.
He hasn't really trained to become a master, but he thinks he is. Both Ben Kenobi and Yoda are gone. It doesn't seem like Ahsoka has trained him at all. Where does he get off thinking that he's ready to take on a Padawan and actually start a Jedi Academy? So 30 years from now in the story, not in the real world.
Okay.
With that, Luke Skywalker is going to be a very different character. He's going to be cynical. He's going to be jaded. He's going to be humbled. And he's going to talk a lot about the hubris of the Jedi Order. But my gut tells me that speech in The Last Jedi is a lot less about the Jedi and a lot more about himself. There's this ancient proverb that says, pride comes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. The point of that is be very careful when you think you've got everything figured out. The smartest guy in the room is usually the one who ends up looking like the biggest fool.
Yep.
So I think that's what we're seeing in Luke right now.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow is the series finale for the Book of Boba Fett and the last Star Wars we're going to be getting for a while. And if it keeps ramping up like the previous 2 episodes, then we're in for one heck of a show. But be sure to tune in to see what crazy stuff happens, and hopefully we get more than 45 seconds of Boba Fett.
I'm certain we'll get more than 45 seconds.
All right.
About
Maybe 46.
Maybe 47. All right. All right. We've got 3 clickbait headlines about Star Wars. All 3 of them are from trusted and proven sources. But the interesting thing. Yeah, interesting. The interesting thing.
Professional podcast.
That's right. About them is when all 3 were released.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, so we didn't get to go to church together yesterday, so I don't know what you guys were. I was preaching or speaking at a different church.
Okay.
For one child, and you guys were at our regular church.
Our normal church.
Our normal church. I wore Turbis the Porg cufflinks.
Ah, nice.
To mine, from cufflinks.com, because they're awesome.
They are.
Yeah. What'd you guys wear?
Well, I
normal stuff, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I wore a Batman tie and Batman tie bar.
Because you're going to do that until the movie comes out.
And I wore Spider-Man cufflinks and Spider-Man socks. Kind of, you can like both fandoms. So I represented
what
that.
a concept.
I know. A lot of people don't get that.
That really would bother me to do that personally.
It worked.
I'm glad you liked it.
Because the Spider-Man was gray and red and black. The tie is gray and red and black. My tie bar was black, and the cufflinks were red and black. It all worked. Really
Okay, I'm sure color coordinating.
And my sling was black.
So your sling is black.
So it all matched.
They should have a cufflink for the sleeve.
I know, right?
Yeah. Anyway, Sam.
So those are called pins.
Oh, okay, Sam.
I could, yeah.
My usual Mando tie and the hyperspace tie bar, which I love that tie bar. It's so subtle. Yeah,
We got to get you guys some new cufflinks.
We really
stuff.
do.
We'll have to look at that. We got to get some more Batman stuff.
I need to get Batman cufflinks at some
We
point.
should
Yeah,
do
and I
that.
need Boba
I'll
cufflinks.
just dress up in a bunch of Batman stuff for the premiere and wear
You're not
fancy
going to the premiere.
No, not that premiere.
Oh, okay.
Like the one down here.
Okay. I was like, what are you talking
No.
about? Do you know something I don't
I
know
was
about?
like, wow, Dad, that's harsh. You're not gonna let Nathan see the premiere of.
I was like,
Yeah, I mean, if there was any way I could let you see it now,
Oh,
I would.
okay.
I'd figure that out. But yeah, it's I always love wearing my cufflinks.com stuff. You should wear your cufflinks.com stuff. It doesn't matter. You don't have to wear like mixed matched cufflinks. You can pick all from one fandom or something.
Like what I did.
Match it and that kind of thing. They have lots of stuff for you to choose
That's true.
from.
Yeah, I mean over 3,000 items, but not with just cufflinks like their name would imply. But they've got the ties and the tie bars to hold the ties to your fancy shirts that probably hold the cufflinks, and you got socks. And you got money clips because people, I guess some people still carry cash.
I carry cash.
You carry cash, so you need a Batman money clip and lots of other stuff.
and they're constantly adding new things. And you can use the code Tatooine15 at checkout to receive 15% off everything on the website with no minimum order required.
Yeah, I mean, these people
deal.
over there at cufflinks.com are amazing.
They're
It's owned by
absolutely
two
fantastic.
brothers that love Star Wars and DC and Lord of the Rings and Marvel as much as we do. They're a great company. Check them out when you go there and you load up your cart with more stuff than you think you would ever want before you got there because you see so much stuff that you love. Go ahead and just use the code Tatooine15 at checkout so you can save 15%. It'll be awesome.
Well, You want the bad news or the really bad news?
All right, exclusive. Felicity Jones in talks to return as Jyn Erso.
No way.
Whoa.
Didn't she die? No.
I know. Well, so here's the deal. All right, when this article came up on my Facebook feed, it seemed way out of place. It was originally from Epic Stream, but they were actually sourcing it from Giant Freaking Robot. So I went over to the original source for the article. And as I read the original article, I got really confused because I read, and I quote, "With this in mind, any new project for Felicity Jones and Star Wars franchise would have to happen before the movie in the timeline, before Rogue One they're talking about, since we know Jyn didn't survive." Well, all that makes sense, right?
All right.
But then it goes on. It says one possibility would be the prequel to Rogue One that was recently announced. And so I started looking around to find out if there was a new prequel that was announced. And then I keep reading the article. It says it will have Diego Luna reprising his role as Cassian Andor. And there's a chance they overlap some of Jyn Erso's story here, which would at least make sense from a timing standpoint. The Disney Plus series will bring back Alan Tudyk as well, meaning we could be looking at something like a Rogue One reunion in this one. So I read it and I'm like, wait, this is a quote that's ripped right out of November 2018. So then I went to the top of the article on Giant Freaking Robot. Mm-hmm. And I looked at when the article was written, expecting to see December 2018, November 2018, something like that. And it said 2 minutes ago.
What?
I know. So here's the deal. Literally, so I started seeing a trend. So I started looking at Giant Freaking Robot articles today.
Oh, that was a mistake.
And I realized that not only is it standard for GFR to say things like, trusted and proven sources on all this for all their clickbait, but the release info is just held in there for eternity to make it seem like it's breaking news no matter when you read the article with it. That 2 minutes ago was 3+ years ago. It's a lie. So for all of that, not to mention the fact that it's complete garbage, the article itself.
Because we know they never met.
Before that, right? Yeah. It's clickbait level 10.
Yeah, easy.
With that. So anyway.
Yeah,
right,
well,
so you get to continue this theme.
Yay.
Yeah.
Giant Freaking Robot with a grand slam.
Right? Yeah, Giant Freaking Robots.
Triple crown.
Trusted and proven sources are taking the hype around Luke Skywalker's improved CGI appearance
with the headline
in the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, the headline reads, Luke Skywalker Jedi Academy series being discussed. Now, the article is pretty basic. There's a lot of speculation about CGI Luke versus a recast Luke, probably Sebastian Stan, because that's been floating around for a bit. The crazy thing is no matter when you read the article, it came out about 11 seconds ago.
Literally, if you hit refresh,
it still says 11 seconds.
Wow.
It always says 11 seconds.
They've broken time.
Wow.
For clickbait purposes. Yeah, this one gets clickbait level 7. Because,
the idea of the series isn't crazy.
No, it isn't. And exclusive. They got an exclusive.
All of them are exclusive.
It's an exclusive Jedi Fallen Order live action project in development, which I honestly wouldn't mind seeing. But GFR is claiming that the series based on Cal Kestis and BD1 is actually already in development. Wow.
Oh, wow.
They kept that under wraps. But when their trusted and proven sources were questioned about any details, none were given. With a sequel to the game in development, an additional series in live action seems really unlikely. And the time this article is released is forever stuck at 24 seconds ago. Maybe Giant Freaking Robot is the world between worlds.
That's one. So maybe they do know something we don't know.
Maybe they do.
Just bring it from the future.
I don't know.
The clickbait level is a 9.
Yeah. Just because you lied in your timing.
Liars.
And you used Cal Kestis.
You sit on
and
the
BD1.
throne of lies. All right. We're changing it up this week since BB Nate has some new Batman content that he just has to discuss. He can't stop. I'm going to take over the Superman and Lois conversation on today's show. I mean, what could go wrong with that?
Oh, no.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
I'm probably not going to be able to help with this. Supergirl
yes,
is is Allie the cult leader and
I don't know.
Lois Lane's
honestly.
sister?
I'm confused.
Are they part of that?
I don't think so. I think that was introduced.
I think
in this.
they are from what I'm seeing
I'm not
today.
sure because I remember something about a cult and about.
And you
Lucy,
thought this was the
and
same
I could
story.
I could have sworn. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I know it's gonna happen. That's Lucy and with the cult, and I called it, even
And
though I
you
didn't know
did.
anything about it. But again, I started to look more at it, and I'm not seeing anybody like go back to Supergirl talking about it. So
Well,
I'm not sure if it was or not.
So in my research for this episode, for this segment, I found that there's actually some connections there on this. It does seem like Lucy and Allie, Lois's sister, and that whole cult storylines from the series that we're seeing in Superman and Lois actually did happen in Supergirl.
The whole plot?
The whole idea that we're finding out in this. But the characters and the actors are different in the show, and the storyline is just slightly different in the way that they do it, the way
So
they
it's the
execute
Bizzaro
it.
storyline.
It's weird. It's very different on this. So the question that I want to just ask you before we get into details on this, BB Nate, is Superman and Lois, the series. Is it in the Arrowverse or not?
I mean, technically, yes, it is in the Arrowverse because it's in the CW verse, and there are multiple Earths, like how the Flash and Arrow take place on Earth 1, and Supergirl's like Earth something. I forget what.
Wow.
I think 3, if I'm not mistaken. But no, that's a different one. But they all take place on different Earths, and I'm pretty sure somewhere it was mentioned that Superman and Lois is going to take place on a different Earth in this series. I'm not sure how they're going to tie that in.
So it's like a multiverse.
They're going to explain it in the comic series they're using to tie in. Apparently, they're releasing a whole comic series about all the CW shows coming together, and it's going to play into the TV shows, which I find to be the stupidest marketing decision because people aren't going to read the comic series and then are going to be confused to heck what's going to happen in the TV series. But it's what they decided, and I'm not sure though if the Superman in Supergirl is from a different Earth or not, because he does make appearances, and I'm pretty sure we learned it somewhere. But I'm wondering if he isn't, and this is of course just because I don't know, but if there isn't a Superman in the Supergirl universe, I'm wondering if that's Bizzaro, and that's how they're going to tie it in. So,
well, that'd be weird. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this. Yeah, it would be bizarre. How bizarre! How bizarre! All right, Allie, actually, this cult leader in this series, has the chance of being a really strong, complex character. But when we're introduced to her in this episode, she's kind of a classic cult leader. She plays to all of those strengths. Then as we get to know her in this episode, we start to see that she's been able to both dupe her adherents pretty effectively and avoid any legal troubles along the way. A really good example of this is how Chrissy, Lois's partner at the newspaper in
Smallville Gazette,
whatever that is. Yeah. She goes looking for a way to put Allie, in prison or to catch her early in the episode. And then by the end of the episode, she seems to be trusting her even more than she trusts Lois at this point. And I think that makes this Allie character a really compelling, potentially a compelling character. How do you think, BB Nate, that Allie could fit into the larger story being told this season?
I heard from somewhere. Now, I don't know this villain. I'm not attuned into Superman comics all that well and the lore of Superman, but there is a character, and that character is Parasite. It takes the form of multiple different people and kind of puts them under their spell, I guess. And I think that Allie is one of the different personalities in the comics.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
But they keep mentioning this character is a parasite. And so I feel like that's how they're going to
in the series, they say that she used that phrase a lot.
And I've been constantly asking how they're going to fit this in with Superman. And that seems to be one of the ways.
That's interesting.
I think that's going to be what they're going to be doing, because the guy who said that Doomsday was in this show also said that there are going to be multiple villains in this season.
Very cool.
Though he lied about the Doomsday thing. But
all right, let's talk about the mayoral campaign. Lana, is it Lana or Lana?
Lana, I think.
Lana. Okay, Lana is experiencing the dirty side of politics as she's running for mayor, and the existing mayor's going after her family. So when Lana and Kyle learned of this the first time, they kind of assumed the mayor is planning on bringing up Sarah's past suicide attempt that they talked about in the previous season a lot. But when they tell Sarah about this possibility, she handles it pretty well. BB Nate, how do you feel like they're handling, this show is handling mental illness and everything that's going on with Sarah and also with Jordan?
I honestly, I'm just happy to see that it's in there, because honestly, you don't see that a lot in a lot of shows. And they're, from my perspective, doing a good job with it. Obviously Sarah's moved on and bettered herself and found better ways to cope, and so this doesn't affect her all that much. So it's very interesting to see how they're continuing to go along with this plot line, especially with how and Jordan helped improve Sarah and vice versa, so they're pushing that story too. And it's interesting to see that side of the superheroes. That's what I loved about this show, is how human it got and how real it is, instead of it just being Superman flying around the earth and spinning it backwards to reverse time. They don't really deal with that a lot.
Nothing wrong with that, though.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Superman's cool.
Because Superman's cool.
All right. After a while, it's revealed that Sarah isn't the mayor's target. Instead, it's Kyle. Lana believes it's only because of Kyle's previous alcoholism, which apparently he's been sober for some time since that. But then at the end of the episode, we learn that there's likely an affair in Kyle's past. Where do you think this whole plot line is headed, BB?
I'm not sure. Of course, it's with the mayor plot line, and the mayor plot line, I'm not sure where that's going to go, because I don't feel like there are any villains that could be a part of that. We had some plot lines with Lana and stuff in the last season that didn't really pan out to be a part of the bigger story, but then we found out Morgan Edge, who she was working for, so that did play out into the larger story. So I'm not sure how this will apply all that much. I'm curious to see where they can go with it, and I don't know.
All right, so Jonathan now, that's the other
yes.
one of Clark and Lois's
the football one.
Sons, the football
quarterback.
One. Yeah, he's going for superpowers. He doesn't have superpowers.
He does not have superpowers.
Jordan has superpowers. Okay. I don't think it's going to end very well. In the way he's going for these powers, because he's apparently jealousy over not getting to be the starting QB at Smallville High School is enough for him to get to turn to XK, which he gets from his girlfriend.
Yes.
This is not one of my favorite storylines with this. What's this all about, other than a way to make Jonathan a super like?
I feel like that's how they're going to activate the dormant cells, Kryptonian cells in Jonathan. I'm interested to see, because I do think that this XK is going to play a lot into his later storylines. I feel like it's going to play a lot into Bizzaro in certain ways, with how Bizzaro deals with kryptonite, and it doesn't affect him, but he actually gets his powers from kryptonite. And so it's going to be tying in a lot into that. I'm wondering where they're going to go with it. I'm honestly really excited to see, if John does get powers from this, how Clark is going to handle that side of it, because now we all have two super kids to deal with, and one of them got it from drugs.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I mean, Jordan is leveling up. I haven't really said this on the show before. I'm going to go ahead and get it out.
Okay.
It's, confession is important. Jordan is my least favorite character in this entire series.
Ouch.
But now that we've kind of time jumped, at least from season 1 into season 2, it's a few months advanced. We don't know exactly how many. Maybe they said it 4 or 5 months, maybe. Jordan's learning how to develop and control his developing powers. I'm kind of interested in seeing how this works out. Nate, is Jordan going to, by the end of the series, do you think he's going to put on the super suit, fight alongside Dad?
Was this Invincible?
Yeah, it might be, but no, I do think we might see a super suit. Especially, I'd love to see Lois make the suit, a lot like how Martha made Superman's first suit. I feel like that would tie in really well, especially with it being the same Smallville. I think that if Superman will need the help of another super besides John to defeat Bizzaro, because he's just way too powerful, and the Superman of America they were absolutely destroyed by Bizzaro in this episode. They did not stand a chance. So I do think we will be seeing a Jordan Superman.
I hope so. That would be cool.
That would.
All right. Now that we've got a chance to see Bizzaro Superman in action a little bit more in this episode, we've learned that he's feeling the negative effects of his connection with Superman as much as Supes does in this one. But that doesn't seem to be affecting him in the same way. It's not holding him back in his strengths as much as it's happening to Clark. He killed 2 of the Supermen of America. He's critically injured a 3rd. He put John Henry Irons in a coma. With this. What do you know about Bizzaro from the comics that might tell us kind of where this story could be going?
Like I said, I don't know much about Superman and Bizzaro, but I do know a lot about how kryptonite gives Bizzaro powers. And with that is a main plot line through another side of this series with XK. I think that's going to play a lot into Bizzaro and how he keeps leveling up. We have the little portal power sucking thing, which I'm not sure what that is. I'm pretty sure that's in the comics. I just don't know about it. is not with Bizzaro anymore. And he has a mission. That's obvious. There's a reason he was sent to this Earth, but we're not sure what that reason is. And thankfully, though, it looks like the visions are gone. For the most part, there's
now that they got
that crystal thing away.
Yeah.
So that's at least an improvement.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I mean, the show seems to be suffering, at least for me, from the problem of biting off more than it can chew. It's got a lot of storylines. They're all great storylines, but they're all running simultaneously. And I don't think that they're being developed as well as they could be. There is a lot of potential in this show going forward. I just hope that it fulfills some of it.
Fair.
Yeah. It's movie time.
It is.
Movie time.
All right. It's a really big weekend for movie releases. We've got everything that you need to know about what's hitting theaters so you could choose wisely for your Valentine's Day date. That's up next on Movie Moments.
At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
3 new releases this week. I know, it's insane.
You're so excited you had a voice crack.
I know. Awesome. And we went like 2 weeks without new releases, so it's exciting. The first one is a Liam Neeson movie, and I think that's all I need to say, but let's go into it. This is Blacklight, the description. Travis Block lives and fights in the shadows. He's not Batman, though.
All right. You want me to do this description? I feel like I need to do this description.
Why? No, you're not doing a Liam Neeson impression.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
no. That would be embarrassing for all of us.
No.
But it feels like it needs to be said differently.
Why?
Okay.
No.
Yeah, let him do it. Let him do it, Nate. Come on, let him do it. Go
ahead.
Travis Block lives and fights in the shadows. A freelance government fixer, Block is a dangerous man whose assignments have included extracting agents out of deep cover situations. When Block discovers a shadowy program called Operation Unity, and it's striking. It doesn't even work right. Anyway, all right. You can keep going. It's striking down ordinary citizens for reasons known only to Block's boss, FBI Chief Robinson. He enlists the help of journalists, but his past and present collide when his daughter and granddaughter are threatened. Now Block needs to rescue the people he loves and expose the truth for a shot at redemption. Nothing and no one is safe when secrets are hidden in Blacklight.
Okay,
it's just cookie cutter.
It is, and honestly, it's just like let's mix a Liam Neeson with an action movie that was popular last year. Nobody.
Yeah,
really, that's it. The director is Mark Williams. The cast is Liam Neeson, Aidan Quinn, and Taylor John Smith. The studio is Briarcliff and is rated PG-13 for strong violence, action, and language. Going yes or no?
What do you think we should go to this one?
I mean, if we have time and nothing else to do, sure.
Yeah, I would go to this.
I would go to this because it's just a Liam Neeson movie and they're always fun to watch.
But it's not one that we're going to go like, oh, we have to get tickets now and go on opening.
No, my gosh, no.
No. That's kind of where it fits.
But this one is one that we've been looking forward to for months. I've been looking forward to for a while. Death on the Nile. Wow, that rhymed too. The description, Death on the Nile is a mystery thriller about the emotional chaos and deadly consequences triggered by obsessive love. Perfect for the Valentine's Day weekend. Belgian sleuth Hercule Poirot. I think I said that right. Poirot. It's close enough. Yeah. Egyptian vacation.
I've heard
aboard a glamorous river steamer turns into a terrifying search for a murderer when a picture-perfect couple's idyllic honeymoon is tragically cut short. Set against an epic landscape of sweeping desert vistas and the majestic
This sounds like a vacation brochure.
Right. Giza pyramids. The tale of Giza, whatever it is.
That's okay.
Tale of unbridled passion and incapacitating jealousy features a cosmopolitan group. They were just like, let's pull out all the big words.
They did pick big words, didn't they?
Cosmopolitan group of impeccably dressed travelers and enough wicked twists and turns to keep audiences guessing until the final shocking denouement.
I didn't even know what is that word.
Denouement. They were just like, Webster's Dictionary right here. I need it. Let me type them out. The director is Kenneth Branagh, who actually did the other Murder on the Orient
and he's
Express, and he is in it.
Oh, really?
He's Hercule Poirot.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
The cast
He's
is
got
Tom
a killer mustache.
He has a killer mustache.
You know, he directed Thor.
That's not. Honestly, though, the cinematography is kind of what made Thor bad.
Okay, and the eyebrows.
The cast is Tom Bateman, Annette Bening, I think, Kenneth Branagh, and Gal Gadot. Why isn't she top build. She's like the main person. The studio is 20th Century Studios, so this is technically a Disney movie now. The rating is PG-13 for violence, some bloody images, and sexual material. Going yes or no?
I'd say, yeah, I want to try to go to this one. This is one that I want to see in the theater.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see this one for a while because I love Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, Murder on the Orient was really good.
It was.
So I'd like to see a sequel-ish, kind of.
It's kind of like how Knives Out is going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is most likely the last one they'll be doing in this series, from what I'm hearing. Now, this one, okay, this is going to be interesting. Marry Me, based on a graphic novel.
What?
Kat Valdez is half of the sexiest celebrity power couple on Earth with hot new music, Supernova. Bastion. Yeah, Bastion. As Kate and Bastion's inescapable hit single Marry Me climbs the charts, they're about to be wed before an audience of their fans in a ceremony that will be streamed across multiple platforms. But on learning her onstage partner has been having an affair behind her back, Kat decides to marry a stranger, math teacher Charlie Gilbert, who's holding a Marry Me sign by accident at her live concert. Wow. This is a rom-com for the ages.
It is.
The director is Kat Corio. The cast is Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. Wow. The studio is Universal, and the rating.
So is this a variant of Mobius?
Might be. It is for me.
That's what's gonna get you there. Huh?
The rating is PG-13 for brief, strong language and some suggestive material. Going yes or no? Dad, you're already going.
Since Mom got the tickets
she
today.
Did. Well, she saw like the get a free large Coke deal.
I saw
if you
that.
got the tickets. So
she got the tickets. So yeah, I'm going Friday to this. So.
That should be fun.
It looks fine. It looks like exactly what you expect it to be, and Mom's going to have a great time, and I'm going to pretend.
I'm just getting tired of the commercials during curling.
Yeah, I'm just on the Olympics. I'm going to pretend that this is Mobius in one of his life, especially if there's one scene where he's on a jet ski. I'm going to live that fantasy
like Hitch.
out. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's make a hitch. Trailers. There were really no trailers this week. I did see a clip from Uncharted that was fantastic. It got me really excited.
It's just a couple weeks away.
It felt like Nathan Drake, and I liked it.
Cool.
The box office numbers.
Jackass Forever
is a 23.5 million domestic and a 28 million worldwide, already doubling its budget, which is insane.
Dang.
It also beat Moonfall, which did not double its budget. With 10 million domestic and 10 million worldwide, it is being bombed on.
It cost $150 million to make it. They made $10
maybe
million
they
in their
didn't do so
opening
bad
weekend.
with the marketing.
No, people say it's just dumb, stupid. Spider-Man No Way Home still at third place with 9 million domestic, 1.7 billion worldwide, and will surpass Avatar's domestic this coming week.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
Insane.
All right. You want to keep going?
Yeah, of course.
Do it. Let's do it.
Well, we got a prequel book to the Batman, and it was surprisingly good and held a lot of stuff in it. So let's just get into it.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Batman has no limits.
This is like a young reader's book?
Yes, it was a YA.
Like
young adults.
Okay. But did it feel like a young adult's book? Like
no, it was really twisted sometimes with Riddler.
But,
It felt good.
It was a good read for anyone.
It was
really.
a good read for YA. It was fast paced, got to the point, didn't have a ton of expose. Wait, no.
That was right.
Exposition. It was really well done. It was a fun book.
But if you're an older person reading it, it's still interesting.
It was still good.
Okay.
Y'all haven't read it, so.
No, I want to hear about this. You got to fill us in on it. I wanted to read it, but I haven't had a chance yet.
So let's do this a bit differently than usual. Let's go through the three big characters in this book and what happened with them and everything. Now, the first one is Bruce Wayne. He's
the main character?
The first half of this book is actually really all about Bruce Wayne. We find out that Wayne Manor was sold when Bruce was 6 years old, and the Waynes lived in Wayne Tower after that. Manor was actually turned into an orphanage, funny enough. This takes place when Bruce is about the rest of the book, after the little time jump at the prologue, takes place when Bruce is about 17 years old. He goes to a private boarding school out of town. He aces all of his classes and is always bored because they're too easy. He constantly wants to do more, but he's not sure what that is. He returns to Gotham every summer, and Alfred has taught him a style of martial arts since he was a boy that he calls Bruce Jitsu. But he does not like that name. Bruce groans every time he hears it.
Oh, really?
Now,
Okay.
Alfred was a part of a secret intelligence agency in this universe, British Secret Intelligence, like he was in Gotham, and he is in the Pennyworth series right now going on in the comics.
Wasn't it that way in the Court of Owls?
In the Court of Owls? Don't think so. He just...
I don't remember that.
He wielded a shotgun pretty easily, so...
No, I thought I remember that he was brought there, like his family were all assigned, like his dad. And I don't know, maybe I'm mixing stuff together.
Maybe. I'm not
thought
sure.
it was.
It's
Anyway,
been a
okay.
while since I've read that comic series, but Bruce actually does forensic chemistry in his free time in the cave under Wayne Tower, which is Wayne Terminus... Which is
the
Batcave.
Batcave in the movie.
In the movie. But he actually has a side project, an old 70s muscle car that he is working on constantly to make faster, that he bought with his own money because he has enough of it. There are multiple times in the book where he's just struggling working on the car. And he's like, I could just go into a dealership right now and buy the fastest car. And then he keeps thinking, I don't want to do that. This car is what matters to me, which is really, really awesome to see. Eventually, he races in illegal street races with other kids his age. They're not all rich though, so they're worried about wrecking their cars constantly. He isn't really. Eventually, he stops because a random explosion went off in one of the racers' cars during a race. But one big thing about this version of Bruce Wayne is the fact that he hates being this rich kid, air quotes, but you can't see that because it's a podcast. He wants to be seen as more, and that definitely plays into the side of Batman. He's talking with Alfred at some point, and he's like, I don't know what I want to do. And Alfred's like, find out what you want and what you feel like you need to be doing. And that plays a lot more into. And Bruce eventually, right after that, starts journaling in this journal where he titles it The Gotham Project. So we learn that later on is about Batman. So that was a lot, but there is a lot in this book. What do y'all think of Bruce and what happened in this first half of the book, I guess?
I like how, first off, we're getting the origin story in this book. So if you want it, you've got it, sort of. I know there is a bit of a time jump between him being a kid and becoming Batman, but I think it's interesting to see. And I like this idea where, you know, I'm not familiar with Gotham, so I don't know what he's like in that. But from what I saw in things like the Dark Knight trilogy, it was kind of weird because he like went on this weird like soul searching thing and that was fine. But I like this, how he's spent his time in Gotham, you know, this city. That's part of why he's so connected to it. And he constantly feels like he wants to do more. And I like the fact that he's building the Batmobile, unlike how in the Dark Knight trilogy, he just bought it, you know, or it was given one because it was Wayne Tech. You know, he's really putting himself into it, just like he's putting himself into the whole persona of being Batman. It's a really interesting origin story. And I'm not familiar with comics, but it seems pretty unique too.
It is very unique. It's different.
In your opinion, do you like it based on...
I do. While it is different, it is still true to the spirit of Batman, to the spirit of Bruce and what he's wanting to do. Throughout the whole thing, he's like, Gotham is an absolute cesspool, but it is his home. And he wants to treat it like it's home.
Kind of like Daredevil.
A lot like Daredevil,
series.
yes. A lot like Daredevil. And it's really awesome.
As soon as he was in Wayne Tower and the dad is running for mayor and all of that, I got big time Court of Owls vibes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that series. I need to reread that.
It feels very Court of Owls. Are you getting like uncomfortably nervous about the possibility that this could bring in Court of Owls?
I'd be so happy if they brought in Court of Owls because it would fit the tone of this whole series, of this book, of this movie, and what they're going for so well. But I'm worried that it'll be too much. It'll be too different. They're going with a big villain for the first one because everybody knows Riddler is a villain. But you bring in Court of Owls, not a ton of Batman fans. A lot of Batman fans know about the Court of Owls, but the casual ones, the ones like y'all, if I did not tell y'all about the Court of Owls, you wouldn't have known, but you know about Riddler. So,
well, you're right. A lot of casual people don't know about the Court of Owls, but I think in our minds, the Court of Owls could become a rogues gallery villain for Batman. They're super. They fit the tone well. You have to introduce that into the general public's conscious at some point. I mean, and I think when you do that, if you do it right, it will be cemented in the general public's mind. So you have to do it at some point. I think you just got to rip the Band-Aid off.
And they really are. I mean, they are the main villains of Gotham Knights. So
okay,
that's something, and that might be showing that they're wanting to bring them into even more stuff. So they may be bringing them into Batman, but I'm not 100% sure that they will. So the next one is the Riddler, Edward Nashton, not Edward Nygma.
Interesting.
Which is fine. I'm fine with that. Now, Edward was an orphan that lived in the Wayne orphanage, funny enough. He's around the same age as Bruce, and he absolutely hates the Waynes, especially Bruce, because he thinks that he's never had to work for anything in his life, really. Ed can barely pass his classes due to distractions from the other students, but he loves puzzles and riddles, of course. But he's never satisfied with anything in his life. He delivers food for people on his super old bicycle that was donated to the orphanage that is falling apart. And one night, some stupid kids in cars almost run him over during a race. This gives him an idea. He stakes out the area where they meet up before the race and sticks a bomb in one of the racers' tailpipes to go off during the race. Seeing the connections here to Bruce.
Interesting. Yes. So they kind of go way back.
They do. But they never know each other. They never meet in this book and know what happened.
So, okay, so I was under the assumption that Bruce in the movie isn't going to know Edward Nashton and any of this. But you're also telling me that in this book, Edward Nashton doesn't know Bruce and isn't familiar with Bruce?
Edward Nashton knows about Bruce, but he didn't
because everybody knows about Bruce.
But he didn't know that Bruce was a part of the race because Bruce was wearing a disguise the whole time because he didn't want to be seen by these kids as a rich kid just wanted to have some thrills. So both of them have been tied for years. They just don't know
even to the fact that Edward is part of the orphanage and there's the scene where Bruce in the opening sees this little boy that's just kind of staring at him and stuff. And that's obviously Edward Nashton.
And it is Edward Nashton. Okay. The bomb goes off at the perfect time and he feels satisfied, happy for the first time. This is what he wants to do. We jump in the timeline about 10 years and he still really hasn't done anything else. He hasn't done many more crimes and that was kind of just a one-off thing. But he decides to break ties to his past. He's going to set fire to Wayne Manor. Now, he pulls the fire alarm actually at one point and he knows that all the fire drills and where people will be because he was a part of that. And he pulls it before the fire because he didn't want anybody to be in there. So at least he has some moral code at this point. And he goes through with his plan and he is successful, kind of. He wanted people to know who did it, but no one did. So at the end, he decides to start leaving some riddles at all of his crimes. Now, what do you all think of this character as a villain?
Clarification for my own sake here. When you say it jumps 10 years, so it's 10 years from the street races, the 17-year-old Bruce. So now we're at like a 27-year-old
We're about a 27-year-old Bruce, yes.
So that's about the movie.
Right before the movie, yes.
And that's when he starts leaving
the second half of the book, yes. The last thing we see about Edward Nashton is him deciding that he's going to start leaving riddles at all the crimes, and we don't hear anything else from him. So
when do we know, and nowhere in this book, though, do we know that he's clued into Bruce being the Batman?
No, he doesn't know about that, but he knows about Bruce Wayne.
And he doesn't like Bruce Wayne.
He doesn't. And he saved one thing from Wayne Manor, and it was a picture that he would see every time he walked out of the Wayne orphanage to deliver food of Thomas Wayne, Martha, and Bruce.
Okay.
And he took that picture, wrapped it in bubble wrap, and that's the only thing he has from the orphanage.
Creepy.
Yes.
Okay.
Very creepy.
Okay, before we move on to discussion about another character, this is Riddler about the time of the movie, right? Why is he pulling the fire alarm to save people? I thought he was... like he didn't care.
I really don't know. This is about a year. When this happened was about a year before we see the movie. So a lot could change now that he's decided to start doing more crimes. There are a lot of points where we see, I mean, he did not kill, of course we see in the funeral scene, he didn't kill the son of the the victim that we see in that funeral. So I think that he has sort of this feeling for orphans.
Do you think there could be a redemption for him?
No, I don't think that they'll go redemption for him. I think that they're setting up that there's no way to do that. But I do think that there's a lot that can happen in a year now that he's decided to start doing more and more crimes, and that's what he's going to do. It could snowball, definitely. But the next character, which is the Batman, and I know Bruce is Batman, but still they're very different, especially in this book. They break them up into 2 parts. Now, the second half of the book follows Bruce's journey to becoming Batman, and we find out that he calls this whole Batman persona and everything the Gotham Project in a journal that he is writing constantly in. We now know why he can take all those bullets too.
Okay,
his armor is made out of experimental tech by Wayne.
There you go.
Industries.
You get some Wayne tech in there.
A little bit, of course. He also was at one point during a case looking for files on some certain special tech that was going around, and he actually was able to use an employee in Wayne Industries. They didn't disclose who the employee is, but I'm having a feeling they might turn into Lucius Fox.
Interesting.
At some point. We also find out that Bruce has 2 costumes, kind of. A drifter outfit that he wears on top of his costume so he can walk around and scout places without being recognized.
That's smart.
He wears a big trench coat, big baggy pants, and the eye paint, so it's already ready when he needs to get.
So that's what we see in the trailer.
Exactly.
When he's walking through the club.
That's the drifter outfit.
Interesting take. I always wondered how Batman got around if he was in the costume.
Exactly. And the book ends in the epilogue, which takes place right before the movie, on a new take of the classic line from Batman the Animated Series, where he says, "I am the shadows, I am vengeance, I am the Batman." Which is
very
great.
Cool.
Overall, what do y'all think of this book, and what do you think it could mean for the movie?
I love backstory. I love the idea that they've thought through this backstory of Bruce and of Batman and of the Riddler, and they're setting that up for this movie. So they know that there's history there and they know where they're going with it. And it's obviously going to tie in. You don't release a book like this. And I understand they're going to be releasing a novelization of the movie too.
It's a YA novelization as well.
Oh, really? I love this idea that they're wanting to create an entire universe around this character.
Definitely.
And then with the Gotham series, Gotham PD
and Penguin.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to have a lot coming in with this. I'm excited about this. I definitely want to read the book, but I don't feel like you spoiled it for me.
No, I tried
too much. I wanted.
There's the whole main plot line which they had.
Yeah, the plot line you didn't touch on at all
because I wanted people to be able to read it because it is a fantastic book.
Yeah, I think it's great. I love how Bruce and Edward have been like intertwined for years now, just not knowing it. I'm a little nervous that. I mean, from what I've seen from the trailers, Riddler's obviously crazy and sadistic. He strapped a bomb to a guy's neck, but from what I'm hearing in this, it sounds like he's not going to be a very frightening villain. I know that can probably change, but that just has me a little concerned.
A lot of the test screening reactions to Riddler described him as insanely creepy and kind of this sort of angelic innocence, which we did get from the theme. We got this kind of this angelic voices and stuff, and then just hits you with this insanely unsettling score. So it might be tying into that.
Interesting.
And so I'm really excited. Yeah, this book was really good, and somehow made me even more excited for the movie. Check out Before the Batman and get your tickets this Thursday for the Batman.
Yeah.
Have fun with that, Nate.
I'm excited.
Exactly. Thank you for doing that, Nate.
Of course.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah. So Dakota Johnson confirms Madam Web role in Sony's Spider-Man spinoff.
Well, I told y'all. I said she's coming.
You did.
All y'all said I was crazy.
I can't believe they're actually bringing in this
Madam
character.
Web is a really fascinating character.
She's a fascinating character. She's huge, and she's tying together the Spider-Verse. And she's never explored it, and she ties together the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is that she ties in the if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but doesn't she the one that brings in Secret Wars?
I'm not sure.
In the comic books?
Could be. I'm not familiar.
And there's talk that they're going to be doing that in the MCU. And so they could be bringing in Sonyverse.
Sony Andrew Garfield in Secret Wars again?
I know. I think it could happen. This is really cool stuff.
This is confirmation that they're planning on doing more Spider-Verse stuff, which means we might be getting more Andrew Garfield, which just makes me excited. Eric Weber from Entertainment Weekly says the Batman is complex, comparing it to Zodiac, Chinatown, The Usual Suspects, and The Silence of the Lambs.
I've never seen any one of those.
All of those are really classic. They're very dark movies.
Yes. Source also stating it'll be controversial, which it already is, and people will discuss it endlessly.
They already are. So this is going to be the Last Jedi of
perfect.
That controversial has me worried. Controversial in what way?
I don't know.
That's so vague. Like controversial with the character Batman, like politically. Like, what are we talking about?
There's a lot of smoke around this fire that Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be releasing on May 4th. I think it's going to end up happening. Ricky Pope from the Christian.
Or do you hope it's happening?
No, I really think it's going to, based on everything that's out there. But Ricky Pope from Christian Nerds Unite podcast was messaging me about this, and he's like, it's they're saying May 4th. Which makes sense because it's May the 4th.
It does.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a Wednesday, which makes sense because that's when they release Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Wednesday if they do 2 episodes of Moon Knight.
Which they most likely will.
And then go 6 or the remaining weeks every week. Then the following week after Moon Knight ends
would be May 4th.
It just feels to me like this is
There's a lot lining up. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
And then they just hit you with a Cassian. With Andor on May 4th instead.
No, that won't happen. No, this will be. I think it's going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's going to be awesome.
I hope so too.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Friday's episode is going to be so much fun. We're going to have a Boba Fett finale reaction panel with Lucas Pinkard from The Reverend of the Reprobate, Pete Fletzer from Around the Galaxy, and Josh Sala from Marvel's Let's Play. That is going to be a ton of fun. And thank you, of course, to cufflinks.com for sponsoring the show.
You're the best.
We truly do appreciate your sponsorship. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Make sure you check out their website, cufflinks.com. Use that Tatooine code. Tatooine 15. Sorry. Anyway, use that Tatooine 15 code at checkout on that. And thank you so much again, all of you, new listeners and returning listeners. Thank you guys so much for listening to Tatooine Sons of Pop Culture podcast. We really do appreciate it.
And of course, if you had a good time listening, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah. And the show, it's only a small part of the world. So if you really happen to like us that much, you can follow us on Facebook or like us on Facebook and join our Tatooine Sons discussion group, and follow us on Twitter to get in on all the action and keep up to date with everything we got going on at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode. Share this with your friends. Get the word out there to everybody. Thank you so much for doing that. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podchaser.com, whatever podcast app you prefer. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.